issues in the industry and concern about registration of medicines by the Medicines Control Council, also known as the MCC. Summarize the context for us here.
David, there has been for several years a problem at the MCC that due to resource constraints, the application for new drug registrations are being delayed, and they are being delayed for up to four years. And that is obviously a massive concern, both to the pharmaceutical industry because they are losing out on potential sales and potential profit, but I think also should be a big concern to patients because it means that patients are being denied access to cheaper generic products for which they can save significant amounts for up to 4 years.
Well, Paul, you say that there are resource constraints. What was the benchmark? You imply that the MCC was working better, and certainly we didn't hear about these problems before. So what was and is and would be an acceptable level of registration? And can the industry not step in and help resource the MCC? Well,
the international benchmark would be generic registrations in less than one year. Certainly, as an example, I am a director of generic health, a pharmaceutical business in Australia, and we get our registrations there between 9 months and 1 year. 5 years ago, it was taking us 3 years to get our new drugs registered. Now it's taking us 4. So we're moving in the wrong direction. Now, I spoke about resource constraints, and essentially I'm referring here to a lack of skills at the MCC, physically people, I guess also funding, and I know that the pharmaceutical industry would be very open to increased registration fees, which would fund additional people. It would be difficult for pharmaceutical companies to actually provide employees to go and work there because of the conflicts of interest that would exist then. But certainly, increased fees would enable the MCC then to source additional skills even internationally.
Well, it sounds like certainly there's a problem, and we can see what the problem is. It sounds like there would be solutions. What is the government response to this? Is there a sense of urgency to fix this? Because, as you say, you couldn't second people necessarily from the industry, but maybe the industry could provide more money if that's the problem, and possibly also bring back recently retired people to the MCC.
There are plans afoot to completely restructure the MCC. In fact, they're going to be calling it the MHRA in future. And I think that there is a recognition by the authorities that the current service levels are completely inadequate. And they themselves are talking about a target of 9 months for registration. Of course, we've heard this for the last 5 or 6 years, and it's getting frustrating that these delays just continue, and in fact are even getting worse.
Yeah.
So we're just calling on government to, in fact, put the plans in place that have already been made.
Of course, whenever you hear about restructuring, you wonder if it's because people aren't sure what else to do or how else to do something, so they restructure and it looks like work. So that's the danger. Just moving to the sector more broadly, price capping has been an issue for some time, and that is obviously a distortion to some extent of the market. So it's a sector that it can't get new medicines registered easily. The present medicines, there is capping. So on the one hand, it's been a profitable sector. On the other hand, there are formidable obstacles to just doing business.
Yes, correct. Yeah. You know, I think most business people across any industry would believe that less regulation ends up leading to a freer market, more competition. And unfortunately, the pharmaceutical industry is an industry that is incredibly regulated. It's one of the few industries in South Africa that are price controlled, and we believe that does in fact skew the marketplace. I think one of the other significant obstacles in the South African market is the current inefficiencies in the state tender market, and that is resulting in a delay in awarding tenders, and that is leading to stockouts at the state dispensaries. For example, the largest state tender for pharmaceuticals is for solids, the dosage forms, and that tender is meant to be supplied from the 1st of August, and the tenders have not yet been finalized. And most pharmaceutical companies will operate on a 3 or 4 month lead time, so it really does mean that it will lead to further stock delays for at least 3 months after the new tender opens in August.
Well, thank you, Paul. That was Paul Anley from Pharma Dynamics.